Hi, I'm Marc Stevens, author of Government Indicted, and the website, of course, marcstevens.net, where we're working to bring about a voluntary society, one visitor at a time. I also do a radio show called the No State Project. It's live from 4 to 7 Eastern Standard Time and 1 to 4 on the West Coast every Saturday from the fortified compound in Mesa, Arizona, on the Liberty Radio Network. That is LRN.FM. LRN.FM. And you can, if you have a problem with anything I've presented in this video or anything that's on the website, if you think I've got my facts and my logic is all wrong, you are more than happy to call the radio show when we're live, or I will schedule you as a guest. You can also get me on Skype. The username is Frank Rizzle 3. That's Frank Rizzle 3. You see right there. And I'm also willing to set you up as a guest. And what we're going to be doing today here at Marc is it's about time to debunk a little bit more of this crap from the super lawyer. There he is, Dan Evans, super lawyer. And that's a hell of a Photoshop job there, I got to tell you. I'm getting a little better. It took me about 2 minutes to do that, but I'm not making fun of him here. It's he's the one that is a self-described, or he puts on his website that he is a super lawyer. So we're going to debunk more of this crap that this man has put out against me and my work. Again, I've said before, he is borderline obsessed. Him and his group cannot stop writing about me. And pretty much everything that comes out of their mouth is some kind of logical fallacy, or it's a personal attack. I'm an idiot. I'm a wacko. I don't understand third grade logic. Things like that. Because that really is how you destroy somebody's argument. You just call them a cockroach, or you say that they're an idiot, they don't understand logic. That just because, and I'll get into this soon, that just because I don't agree with just an outright denial of an argument, that because I don't accept that someone else denies the validity of it, that in and of itself, my not taking a groundless denial, nobody explaining why the argument is fallacious or incorrect, I don't accept that. I want to see where the error is in the logic and the facts, and because I don't accept the blanket denial from an authority figure, Dan here thinks that I don't, Super Dan, the super lawyer, he doesn't think that I understand basic logic. Well, we're going to go through this again. This is going to be basically debunking Dan Evans and his Quatloos group, part 3. And so what we have here, we got a couple of, this is a screen cap from his website. You can see down here, it's Dan Evans. He's LPC, the trusted keeper of all the true. So this is something that was posted. So what we're going to do is there's two logical fallacies, or two fallacious arguments that are presented here. And one is kind of minor, not a big deal, but it just goes to show the mindset and how illogical the thought process is of the people who post here with Dan Evans and his Quatloos group. So James Vincent quotes me. So as you see here, this is my Marc Panties in a Twist wrote, okay, Panties in a Twist. These written, I'll tell you though, if it's 100 degrees out and you're doing clean and jerks, you're doing heavy snatches, your panties may get in a little bit of a twist, although I don't think that's what they meant here. Obviously, this is just a shot at me, because that's, again, when you don't have any facts, you don't have any logic, you just make fun. So I wrote, and I did write this, these written instruments apply as a matter of law. In other words, the law applies because the law says so. Dan Evans fails to understand that this is a common logical fallacy, be it circular logic. And so the comeback to this, if you call it a comeback, obviously he seems to disagree with what I'm saying here. He says, funny, the courts commonly refer to this as precedent, not circular logic. Well, you know what? Judges and prosecutors commonly refer to themselves as honorable. But what's the point there? What's the point he's trying to make? Does he take any steps to actually show that it's not circular logic to say the law applies because the laws say so? No. He doesn't actually look at the content of the argument. He doesn't even look at the structure of the argument. All he does is come out and, with this razor-sharp logic and wit, say, funny, the courts commonly refer to this as precedent. And the only point that I can get from this is that this is just an example of a logical fallacy of an appeal to authority. This is a fairly standard one. Let me see where we've got this. I didn't have it. Oh, that's right. You said that because an authority thinks something, it must therefore be true. So basically, it's not circular logic because the courts commonly refer to that as precedent, not circular. Well, no, it doesn't matter if somebody calls it precedent. It doesn't matter what they call it. The structure of the argument, the content, that is what determines whether it is circular or not. And whether something is circular, let's see, we'll go through here. Oh, yes, circular reasoning. We'll just blow that up just a little bit there. It's a logical fallacy in which the reasoner begins with what they are trying to end with. The laws apply because the laws say so. So that's why. So just real quick, and I have this on in the article that this video is embedded in precedent. Well, just take a look at what precedent means. Anyway, and just to be clear, this is an appeal to authority because he's trying to claim that the argument fails because judges, lawyers, use a different word. Yes, this is not circular logic. Okay, that the law applies because the laws say so. Oh, that's not circular logic because some lawyers use a different word. But let's take a look. A precedent actually means a prior reported opinion. You got that? A prior reported opinion. They're talking about the doctrine of stare decisis, that it establishes the legal rule or authority in the future on the same legal question, okay, opinion, issue of law, opinion, decided in the prior judgment. Thus, the rule, blah, blah, is precedent for the issue before the court in this case. The doctrine that a lower court must follow a precedent is called stare decisis. Now, the thing with stare decisis and what these super lawyers seem to do, I hope people aren't going to be turning the video off because I'm keeping this great Photoshop job up here of Dan Evans, super lawyer. But stare decisis is for settling issues of opinion, not fact. Now, lawyers, especially prosecutors, constantly conflate stare decisis, of course, with res judicata, which does deal with issues of fact. See, conflating is also a logical fallacy that Dan Evans, super lawyer, loves to do. And that's where you take two distinct concepts and you treat them as the same thing. So, an example would be, I raise the question, an issue of fact, just a question of fact, and let's say, hey, what facts do you rely on proving a Constitution code apply to me? Now, what someone like Dan Evans and prosecutors do, and I have this reported on markstevens.net, so you can see plenty of examples of this inflating garbage right here on the website, where I'm reporting directly from the parasites, the psychopaths in the so-called courts. Well, what they'll do is, instead of answering the question of fact, what Dan, super lawyer, does is he will raise a straw man and then proceed to lie, saying that the question is actually a frivolous argument long rejected by the courts, and they'll usually quote an opinion from 30, 40, or 50 years ago. U.S. versus Romero is one of the common ones, U.S. versus Sloan, all the so-called tax protesting things. And what they're trying to do is a fallacy of trying to use an opinion to settle an issue of fact. Again, it's just a logical fallacy. It's dishonest as hell. But hey, Dan Evans has proven himself to be dishonest and just, well, in plain English, he's a damn liar. But that's what you can expect from super lawyers. They're super liars. So what they do is they constantly conflate a question or an issue of fact with an issue of law and try to use stare decisis, an opinion from 40 years ago, to settle an issue of fact raised today. Yes, that is some serious. That's a serious thought process you got there, and they're throwing stones at me that I don't understand basic logic. So, what you want to ask someone like Dan Evans, super lawyer, why don't you ask them why you would use an opinion to try to answer a question of fact? I'd love to hear the answer to that, but I can't get any communication with Dan Evans, super lawyer, because he won't confront me publicly in real time. He just wants to sit behind his computer and lie about me. Okay, so let's get down here. I want to again, as far as precedent. But something that's very interesting about this issue of precedent is that there's a lot of these too, and I reported about this extensively in Government Indicted. If you want to know what the value of precedent is, a prior reported opinion, one, it's got absolutely nothing to do with an issue of fact. I mean, it's ridiculous. You don't use opinions from 40, 50, 60, or 100 years ago to settle an issue of fact today. I mean, it's just crazy. It's like, I guess an analogy would be if you've got a scientific question regarding, let's say, evolution, and you go back and say, the Catholic Church back during the Inquisition days, well, their opinion, their precedent was X, Y, Z. I mean, it's just stupid to go back and look at an opinion to settle an issue of fact. That's just not how rational people operate. But hey, when you're a super lawyer, you don't need facts, you don't need logic, you don't need rational thought. Apparently, to be able to make a pretty nice living for yourself and your family with that, as a super lawyer. But when you look at precedent, some of them are really disgusting. So one of them, and again, this is just to show you what the value is of past opinions, especially on issues of fact. It used to be precedent that non-whites, that is, people of brown and black skin color, not pasty white people like Dan Evans here, the super lawyer, they were considered property. That was precedent. So yeah, look up the Dred Scott opinion. And we've got it linked in the article. So, yeah, there's so much for your precedent having anything to do with that. Okay, so let's get down to the meat of this here. Let's look, and we'll blow this up a bit so it's easier to see this incredible logic and display here of super thinking that we're getting from Dan Evans, super lawyer. And this is from Dan Evans, the man himself. There's his signature down here. Okay. He's trying to show that it's not actually circular. And he's trying to, he says, I don't think that what he's talking about here is, all right, the fact that, all right, we'll start here. This is really where he gets into it. The fact that a law applies because the law itself says so is not circular. Why is circular in quotes? As if it's not a real concept? You could... Oh, man. Dan, you even have to, you put client and help always in quotes. You can't even use circular. I mean, it's the argument. I'm saying the argument is circular. It's like when you put it in quotes, it's like you're doubting the actual logical fallacy of circular logic. You're not, okay, it's not circular because the law did not create itself. It was enacted by the legislature by enacting a law that specifies to what it applies. The legislature is simply specifying how it has chosen to exercise its legislative power. The legislature has power to enact legislation because the Constitution says so, and the Constitution can say so because it was ratified by the people, and the people have the power to govern themselves. Well, let's look at this part here. The fact that a law applies because the law itself says so is not circular because the law did not create itself. It doesn't matter who is putting forth the argument. It's the structure and the content of the argument that determines whether it is circular or not, or has any validity or not. Not because no one said it's circular because it created itself. Again, what is with the straw man here? Dan, my gosh, drop the straw man. Actually, well, I see, that's why if he had facts and evidence, he wouldn't have to keep throwing out the logical fallacies. Okay, so here, that's debunked in and of itself because it doesn't matter. Nobody raised it. It's completely irrelevant. But what's interesting here is that Dan here, the actual argument is right here. I'll see if I can blow this up so we can focus just on that. See if that's going to... it's a little bit too much. So we're going to go down a little bit go down. That's what she said. The legislature has, this is his actual argument that we're going to be debunking here big time, because it really is the basis of Dan and his merry Quatloos people. It really forms the foundation. It's the root of their attacks against me and how stupid I am, how much of a wacko I am, I'm a hypocrite, you name it, I'm it. But so we're gonna debunk this right here. This is his actual argument. So all these years of him avoiding me and not being able to confront me publicly, he finally puts it. Whoa! He finally lays out what they're fawning over. There's kind of a circle jerk going on if you go to the Quatloos website, that they think this is just bulletproof logic and facts. Dan actually pulled the history card. Now, if you go back into on my website, you'll know that Nicholas Court pulled the same stupid argument. So let's go back to, there's our buddy Nicholas Court. Now, Nicholas Court probably carries a hell of a lot of respect and is held in very high esteem by Dan Evans, the super lawyer. Because why? Nicholas Court is not your average attorney. Nicholas Court is a professional litigator. Nicholas Court is a senior deputy attorney general in the New Hampshire Attorney General's office. Nicholas Court argues in front of the Supreme Courts as part of his job is to argue in front of the Supreme Courts. And so he pulled the history card on me also. Now, if Dan Super Lawyer Evans actually did some research about a subject of an attack, if he actually went to my website and he went into the call of shame, maybe he wouldn't have posted something like this. Maybe he would have gone down. Maybe he would have went here, and he would have seen how somebody he holds in very high esteem, I have to assume, Nicholas Court, pulled the same crap on me and wound up hanging up the phone on me. Why? Because Nicholas Court couldn't support the exact same argument. So I highly recommend going to markstevens.net and listening to this call because it is very, very instructive. Because what Nicholas Court did, my buddy Nick here, this is him actually arguing in front of the New Hampshire Supreme Court. This is him at work. I'm not going to take something away from the guy. In fact, he's probably damn good at what he does. And if he is highly respected by people like Dan Evans, the super lawyer, then he probably deserves it. Okay? But when I confronted him on the same issue, he agreed and said, and you can listen to the call. It's right down here. We have it here, and it's here on YouTube. He agreed that yes, the Constitution applies because the Constitution said so, but also because of the history and how it came about. So I couldn't help myself. I had to ask whatever. Okay, I had to ask him basically, well, the history you're talking about have to do with the fact that everybody in New Hampshire is forced to pay you. Well, he didn't like that. And I had also asked him, well, if I did business like your organization, forced everybody to, forced people to pay me, would you consider me a criminal? He didn't like that, and he hung up on me. So the same history question is raised by Dan Evans, the super lawyer. So we'll go back to that again. This is the main part. The Constitution can say so because it was ratified by the people, and the people have the power to govern themselves. Now, the thing is, there's no actual evidence that he puts in here. This is just his argument, okay? He doesn't go because, again, a circle jerk around him ensues because he laid this out to show just how stupid I am. He never actually presents any evidence. And it's not just Dan, it's not just the super lawyer here. He's not, no statist can, because there is no evidence. He doesn't he just makes an affirmative statement, or what the Supreme Court would say, a conclusory statement, but he doesn't have any actual facts. That's the problem. Well, you can't have any facts because this is patently false. It's provably false. The facts are completely against him, and it's the reason why I've got so many examples on my website when we go back to the call of shame. Nicholas Court, Jerry Cobb, Haas Hoskins here, none of these IRS agents, none of them can actually explain and produce any actual evidence that the Constitution Code apply. All they could do is make affirmative statements. So there's a very easy way to prove that what Dan Evans, to get ready with, you and your Quatloos guys, and I know you're watching this stuff, I know you're reading the stuff on the website, I can track it. Get ready. This is my public service announcement to someone like Dan Evans, super lawyer. You can stop the video momentarily here. Think of your favorite logical fallacy that you're going to use against me. Oh, Marc's a cockroach. Marc's an idiot. Marc's a run-of-the-mill anarchist. Because I'm going to show you the only facts we need to demonstrate that what Dan says here, his entire argument against me, is wrong. And this is a hell of a Photoshop job too. If you thought this was good. Oh, if you thought that was good Photoshop, yeah, look at this. Bam! There you go. Coercion does not equal consent. Okay? That's it. That is all we need to do to show that the argument here that the Constitution can say so because it was ratified by the people is completely false, because ratified means agree. And it's all coerced. All of it. You pay, you go to jail. Coercion does not equal consent. And if you think so, you just may be a psychopath and not just misinformed. Or both. Some may say, where's your proof that this is coercion? It's threat, duress, and coercion. Where's your proof? There you go. Now I can show hundreds. I just have to show one to completely destroy Dan Evans' argument. The Constitution can say so because it was ratified by the people. That's complete and utter BS, Dan. Complete BS. And I think deep down, you gotta know that. It's completely false, because there you go. Let's read a little of this to show its threat, duress, and coercion. And no, I don't want to hear your stupid appeals to authority like Suzanne Small, the Franchise Tax Board legal department, say, it's not threat, duress, and coercion when the government does it. Okay? Any person who willfully attempts in any manner to evade or defeat any tax imposed by this title, okay, shall be guilty of a, what is that? Shall be guilty of a felony. Shall be fined not more than $10,000 or in prison not more than 5 years or both. And this does not include the taking of all your stuff. So there you have it. There you have it. This argument of Dan Evans that the legislature has power to enact legislation because the Constitution said so, and the Constitution can say so because it was ratified by the people, and the people have the power to govern themselves, is completely destroyed, completely debunked, on nothing more than just the obvious truth. And all they can do is come up with more logical fallacies to try to distract you from thinking either it's not coercion or it's not coercion when they do it, which is complete and utter horse crap. Coercion does not equal consent, and it doesn't matter. It's still coercion if 51% agree, because the 49% are being coerced. And it doesn't even take into account nobody's given a vote on whether there's a government or not. So the whole concept of the Constitution is more smokescreen because nobody agreed to have a government in the first place. You either pay or you went to jail or you had all your stuff taken. And if you did not comply, you decided to defend yourself, they'd shoot you in the process. So that's Dan's entire position. He has to now try to make sense and defeat this and try to make, he won't do it, but to try to make a claim that it's not, there's some logical fallacy. So let's go through some of the, the logical fallacies that they may use. One, it's not stealing when we, the government, force people to give us money. And why is that? For no other reason, because it's the government. Well, this is an appeal to authority. Two, the laws apply. That's the argument. Because the laws say so. Well, that's circular logic. whether the super lawyer wants to agree to it or not. It is circular logic. 3, and this is a real big one with Dan Evans, super lawyer. The laws apply, which is the argument. The laws apply because, and because, and here's supposedly the support for the argument. The laws apply because if you don't comply, you'll go to prison. This is called argumentum ad baculum. It's an appeal to the stick or to consequences. It's a very common logical fallacy, and Dan, super lawyer Evans, he really likes this one. His Quatloos guys appreciate that. I think one of the quotes is that the sound of the cuffs slapping on or slamming on your wrist is all the evidence needed to prove the laws apply to you. No, it's a logical fallacy. That's all it is. It's just a logical fallacy. So, again, there is no actual government. There's just people like Dan Evans. They coerce us to give the money, and if we don't give the money, well, then they take all our stuff, and they're criminals. They're criminals. So let's look at another logical fallacy that they can use. This is extremely common. It is the logical fallacy. There it is. Special pleading, the old double standard. Because to try to get around this obvious truth, this is one of them irrefutable positions. Coercion doesn't equal consent unless you're a psychopath. Unless that coercion is turned against the psychopath. Then they'll say it's not consent. What they'll turn around and start doing is trying to claim that it's not coercion when the government does it. Again, that's a double standard or special pleading. And so it's applying a standard to another that is different from a standard applied to oneself. And that brings up a really interesting point here. Why I say that people like Dan Evans, the super lawyer, are that statism and their belief and their devotion, their just sick devotion to this concept of government. Why I say it's religious is because they do not see themselves or other people called government. They do not see them as mortal human beings like me and you. Regular people, the non-government types. Dan Evans sees, and his people see, government types as infallible superhumans, that they're different. The basic principles of right and wrong just do not apply. They're above basic principles of right and wrong, such as it is wrong to force people to give you money. That coercion does not equal consent. They think coercion equals consent. That's sick. That is the sign of a twisted mind, not a super, then again, a super lawyer, it just has the sick mind. But if you believe the opposite here, if you believe coercion does equal consent, that's some twisted thinking. That's the sign of a real sick mind, and dare I say, that's probably psychopathic in nature. And I can't actually prove this, and it's linked up in the website. Dan Evans seems to actually believe this to a degree, where, again, I cannot confirm that he said this, but it goes right in line with the double standard that he uses and his followers use. He says, yes, in fact, when you come right down to it, almost everything that governments do would be crimes if committed by individuals. Okay, so if he did say that, well, it's right in line. It's consistent with his thought process. So I think it probably he did write that. Other appeals to authority are the courts have long rejected your argument as frivolous. It doesn't matter if my argument is there's no evidence proving the Constitution and Code apply, saying it's frivolous does not provide the evidence to overcome the argument. The only way to overcome an argument based on a lack of evidence is to provide the evidence. But Dan doesn't bother to do that. He doesn't look at whether an argument is based on facts and sound reasoning. He just looks to see if some other lawyer rejected it. And then again, we get back to the standard personal attack, the Quatloos, Dan Evans default, which is the ad hominem. This is standard because when all else fails, you defeat someone's argument by calling them a cockroach. So basically what Dan will do is he will claim that some lawyer said that my argument was sophistry and that and then point out that I refuse to accept this unsupported conclusion. And my refusal to accept the conclusion, which is completely unsupported, is not because I'm rational, not because I demand proof, but because I'm an idiot. And they never go and point out anything from the authority figure they worship so much to actually refute the argument I put forth. So, unlike Dan, the super lawyer Evans, and his buddies at Quatloos, I don't accept arguments just because someone said so, even if they are a super lawyer or one wearing a black robe. I don't care. Show me the evidence. Show me the reasoning. So, in summary, Dan's argument is completely debunked by the facts that we can all verify. His argument is right here. And the main part is because it was ratified by the people. And it is completely debunked, easily debunked by that. People didn't agree to anything. The facts are against you, Dan. Being a super lawyer doesn't help. The facts are against you. But I'm not going to be holding my breath waiting for Dan Evans and his bunch to come up with facts and logic to try to refute this, because you can't. And maybe I will actually be called a cockroach this time. Because, if calling me a cockroach, that would prove that coercion is, in fact, agreement. In fact, at least that's how you prove it in Dan Evans' world. Just call him a cockroach. That's all you need to do. You just call Marc a cockroach. But that's not going to overcome this. This is as sound a logic as I could come up with. So, but look, like Dan, we've debunked this thoroughly. But if you believe, and this goes out to Dan and his people too, anybody who believes the contrary, if you believe coercion is consent, call the No State Project. Call me on the air. Present your facts, present your argument, because I love to hear it. Again, my name is Marc Stevens. Website is marcstevens.net. This has been Debunking Dan Evans, super lawyer, and his Quatloo bunch, Part 3. And again, if you've got any evidence to the contrary, give us a call on the No State Project. We're live every Saturday from 4 to 7 Eastern Standard Time on LRN.FM, the Liberty Radio Network.